Hey everybody, it is my pleasure to present my friend Oakland District Councilmember Loren Taylor, who, to steal a line from Star Wars Episode 4, in a small way, you have come to make this battle station operational. I introduce to you the new Oakland News Now Zennie 62 Media Network with a brand new back end working better than ever and producing record revenues for my company. Welcome, Council Member. How are you?
Thanks, Zennie. Doing well. Good to be here. Congratulations on the new rebirth of the platform.
Thank you. Thank you. Hey, Council Member, I want to start off with one thing because we had a great conversation backstage. Where are you? You're running for mayor. We're talking about the mayor, but you're also named, unless there was a change I didn't see in the database, as running for District 6 again. Yet when Councilmember Sheng Thao had the same position, she took her name off District 4. So where are we?
Yeah, we have been ramping down the District 6 reelect campaign. As you likely know, Zennie, whenever you come into office, the recommendation is that you just get your campaign committee started for the next reelection, just as a general practice. So when I made the decision to jump in the race for mayor, there was absolutely a decision that I was not going to be running for District 6 City Council. And so there's a matter of paperwork that needs to get wound down, and that happens with the end of the year filing. So at the end of the year, we will have closed out the District 6 campaign committee as we have ramped up the mayoral campaign committee. And so you'll see that reflected in the end of year filing reports.
Why did Sheng do it so quickly, though? Because she almost like she was trying to make a statement or something.
Probably because you were making noise about it. So she was like, I don't want Zennie to talk about me.
I think,
but the advice I've gotten is that you close it out in the same sort of 6-month filing period that you open it up.
I think for me, and here's the thing, is like, and as I said, it's not personal toward you at all. I like you very much. It is a matter of, I think you got there at District 6, and I think that during the pandemic, I think, hey, re-election shoe-in, plug them in there. Plus, there won't be nobody black on the council if if things—
a black man.
Right, a black man. Thank you. A black man, if things turn out, and that's a big issue with me because I feel like we're under attack. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a big issue with me. So I was like, no, Loren, no, man, no.
well, I see it in a couple ways. One is I am not leaving District 6. I'm raising my platform to be able to support District 6 in East Oakland in the assuming that I'm successful, and I'm working hard to be successful in the mayoral campaign. Also, it is absolutely a high priority for me to make sure that I'm supporting somebody who will continue the momentum that we have been building in District 6, and that I'm not just sort of leaving up to chance who comes in behind me, but really working with the community and this person, and yet to be determined, to make sure that we are maintaining the momentum on all the great things we've been doing, whether it's activating vacant parcels, supporting entrepreneurs, continuing to address race and gender disparities in city contracting, or just doing the nuts and bolts of getting things right on the ground with how things look and feel in District 6.
What was the aha moment where you said, you know what? As Elihu once told me, and we talked about this, but I forgot to tell you, Elihu told me a long time ago, Elihu Harris, my boss, when he was mayor of Oakland, he said, Zennie, what I want you to do is I want you to turn around and look at the environment and say, who can do this job? Me. You know how Elihu talks. So is that kind of the situation with you?
Well, so I never got into this local elected role with a goal of like rising or climbing to any certain position. It's really, for me, always been about impact on my town, the town that I'm a product of, and that's, Oakland. And as I have seen the challenges, the opportunities, and things that are going on, it's always a matter of how can I expand my impact? How can I have a bigger influence on those around me? Being in District 6, and I am still in District 6. I'm working hard for the remainder of the year. A lot of people ask me, it's a little bit of an aside, but a lot of people ask, well, what about this when you're mayor? What about this? And for me, I'm still working on these same objectives, initiatives now because I'm in office, and that's my duty to those who have voted for me to be here. At the same time, when I look at the landscape and things that are shaping the direction of our city, the things that need to get done, knowing that my background as a professional problem solver, an engineer, a management consultant, someone who's been demonstrating the ability to not just get some headlines or come up with ideas, but actually pull them through. That's what I know we need in the mayoral seat. It's an executive administrative role, not a legislative, role. So it takes a different, a different person, different characteristics, different skills to really deliver the way that our residents need. And that's what I feel like I'm able to do.
What, now looking back, do you feel like your best accomplishment has been?
Over the past 3 years, I've got a few that I'm excited about. The fact that we have, really taken some vacant parcels and activated them, like Liberation Park, where we have the Acoma Market in partnership with the Black Cultural Zone. We have turned it into an oasis within East Oakland. Who'd have thought we'd had outdoor roller skating, live music, and wine lounge, wine garden featuring Black-owned wineries, all, in the same spot a couple weekends out of the year, out of the month, right? When we look at the fact that we started an entrepreneurship incubator where we are helping Black and brown business owners, entrepreneurs, to really establish, grow their businesses. We were able to get from Senator Skinner $8 million through the state budget to create a capital loan fund to help out these businesses who don't have access to capital. That's $8 million going to these businesses that historically have a lack of access to capital. And we've already, graduated our third cohort of entrepreneurs building businesses by East Oakland for East Oakland. When we talk about, bringing real change to an issue that's been persistent, we talk about the race and gender disparities that have existed with city contracting. We've been able to lead a working group with, city administration, with community members, with Black-owned contractors, women-owned businesses, contractors, to really dig into how we address the race and gender disparities. We have 3 new positions in the contract compliance department as a result of the work that we've been doing. We've got, it really sort of transformed the policies. We rewrote the local business ordinance, and we're, going through the analysis that could potentially set us up for using race conscious and gender conscious policies, because that's what's allowed with Prop 209, as long as you go through the appropriate rigor on the analysis.
On that matter of contracting and race and Prop 209 and city contracts and everything else, something that I noticed during the whole Howard Terminal conversation, and really to a lesser degree before that, is when I look up and down the state of California, I cannot find a Black-owned and ran economic development consulting firm that's contracted with a city or county up and down the state. And that signals to me that there's something wrong with Prop 209, because it seems like it's used to maintain, white organizations. And then when you say, hey, look, you have to staff up and diversify, then the 209 flag is flown. Am I correct in that? From your view, how do you view that? And,
we have known that there's more than just one thing wrong with Prop 209. It is intended to keep us out and to limit the opportunities that we have. And that's one of the things that I'm working hard against, is to both navigate underneath Prop 209, because it is the law of the land right now, but also figure out ways that we can, create these opportunities. So I'll say, Zennie, if you're starting your economic development agency consulting group, come on and be a part of ESO Ventures, our entrepreneurship program. We can help you grow and scale, and hopefully be the beacon for others to follow.
Yeah, you hook on my existing company. I actually did consulting. My first client was City of Oakland, because they made me a consultant. That was in 87, 88. And then my second client was the redevelopment agency under Kofi Bonner, who I graduated from Cal with, got a master's degree from Cal. So gotcha. Yeah, I'm speaking less about me, but more about
Yeah, no, I get it. I was saying that as
Other
an
Black
example.
folks
Yeah,
out there
for sure.
who, are out there but don't know. And, council member, there's this conversation that bothers me. And I hear it here in Atlanta. We're not in Atlanta, we're 30, 50 miles out.
Yeah.
And there, it's like, it's always stating a problem for us, but not the solution, right? In other words, hey, that's all there is. You're just forget it, man. You can't do anything. You're Black. And how do we overcome that?
Look, so Zennie, I think I was a management consultant. I had my own firm beforehand, working with small businesses and nonprofits and helping them increase their impact. And one of the things as an entrepreneur is you're going to go where you have not just the opportunities, but the path, the easiest path to getting those and to securing them. One of the things we have to do with the city of Oakland, and I think just public agency contracting in general, is to make it easier. We put in so many barriers, bureaucratic obstacles that really make it hard. And therefore, I, as an entrepreneur, I'm going to say, you know what? Why am I going to beat my head up against that wall? I'm going to go to where I can get faster contracting dollars and other things. And, maybe it may not be as lucrative or as secure, but as an entrepreneur, you're trying to get get the rhythm, the machinery in place so that you can create jobs, so that you can grow and scale and have that economic impact that you're trying to have on the community.
Hey, shifting gears, let's talk about redistricting for a bit, because I know that's something else you've been focused on. How is it going from your perspective? And I understand that there are some scenarios that will dramatically change the nature that would dramatically change the nature of District 6, excuse me.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you know, and the audience probably does as well, we are now in this redistricting process where the council members are 2 steps removed. We have been able to encourage, advise folks, that kind of thing. But literally the redistricting, the line drawing, is being done by a citizen commission that is a couple steps removed from council. It's a great thing because it eliminates the gerrymandering that has existed previously, where people try and draw lines to protect themselves or to create more, voting power. While at the same time, there's support that's needed for folks who are drawing lines and boundaries, but may not have the experience of, well, what does redistricting create? What are the impacts? What are the side unknown consequences that might exist if we do things one way or another? And so that's where the consultants and other advisors are, really critical to that. And there's a, pretty robust public engagement process that's been occurring. Regarding the maps that have been drawn and the different options, yeah, there are some options that would dramatically change the landscape. There's one option is this all hills, sort of district that then, it unifies those that are, in potentially have some similarities across that segment, but it would also essentially say that if you're that hills representative, you don't have to listen to those from the flatlands because all of your votes are coming from the hills. So it eliminates your accountability across a broader swath of Oakland. Whereas currently we have it where at least 4 council members have hills, 2 flatlands, a range of folks that they need to understand the experience. And so that's something that our redistricting commission has to weigh when you talk about communities of interest and concern being aligned and what that means for voting power. It could also play out to where you now have more influence for certain parts of, say, the district, the flatlands, the hills, if they've got a more dedicated voice that they don't have to compete with, say, the hills folks in their districts who have more resources and more ability to organize. So I think there's pros and cons, and I do believe that the Redistricting Commission has been weighing a lot of those and are coming close to the final recommendation, which I'm eager to see.
Now, shifting gears, let's talk about gun control and gun violence, and take us back to what happened when you introduced your resolution, first by email, because I got that, but then something happened at Rules Committee that I don't think you quite expected, right?
Yeah, and so it's when we look at, I'll say, taking a step back, we are in a tragic circumstance where we in Oakland have 131 homicides to date, and that is higher than we have had. We are now exceeding our 2012 high, going back to on competing with, I think the highest before that was 2006. So we are in a very bad, tragic place as a city when it comes to loss of life, when it comes to shootings, gun violence, and I think now we, say, the council collectively are really sort of understanding the gravity of where we are and the urgency of the need for change. Back in June, we had the vote where we ended up reducing the total amount of investment into public safety, that was recommended by the mayor and the city administration. Councilmember Reed and I were the two that, voted against that because it seemed to be prematurely pulling away resources when we didn't have the confidence that we wouldn't need them. And so I think everyone's realizing now that, hey, maybe we should reverse some of those decisions, like the reduction of the police academies, like the even looking at the surge units that were frozen in year two. There's now seems to be more of a focus on, walking back some of those frozen positions. So that sets the context where everyone is identifying, hey, we need to bring forward some solutions that address the immediate as well as the longer term. And from my perspective, it has to be in a substantive way. So what you identify, I put together a recommendation, a proposal for how we address, from a number of different angles, the gun violence crisis that we're having. Unfortunately, there was some political maneuvering at the Rules Committee that didn't allow my item to be scheduled.
Talk about that maneuvering. What happened?
Yeah, so the Rules Committee got canceled 30 minutes before it was supposed to happen. And it was canceled by the request of the Rules Committee Chair, Councilmember Thao. When there is no intervening Rules Committee between, before the next council meeting, our rules and procedures say that the council president and the Rules Committee Chair get to approve items for that agenda. So as opposed to having a public airing of getting my item on the calendar, on the agenda, it was essentially relegated to two council members who each had veto power over what goes on the agenda. Everything that was scheduled to go onto that agenda moved forward except for my two items.
Which seems deliberate to me.
Yeah, which seems extremely deliberate. There's of course, folks can always rationalize, I didn't realize, or I didn't see this, etc. But in reality, my items were blocked from moving forward in a way that the public could hear these solutions and weigh in on it. And to me, that it's not just about me. It's about, not giving the public, who is in pain right now, the opportunity to have real solutions come forward and at least be deliberated.
Now, did Councilmember Thao of District 4 reach out to you and apologize, or the council president, Nikki Fortunado Bass of District 2?
There's been no outreach. There was no outreach initially when the call was made. I think it would be believable that there was some other motive if there was at least an outreach. Hey, everything went through but yours, and here's why. But none of that came, and so I think that just reinforces that it was clearly intentional as to what was done.
And I want to add, for those watching, I did tag and reach out to Councilmember Thao. She had every opportunity. She can text me. She's done that before, or call and say, hey, here's what's up, or, I want to come on your program and explain it. And she hasn't done that. I just want to make that clear. So where does this leave? So she's competing against you for mayor.
She is, yeah. And so there's, I think anyone can draw their conclusions as to why and how things proceed. But fortunately, we were able to schedule it from the council meeting, the one that I should have been agendized in. But so now it's coming next week. the 21st, we will have the conversation around the items that I proposed. In that, it is, really looking at a number of angles, but acknowledging that we need to address our clearance rate for violent crime. So we have to increase our investigations unit. We have to increase our response rates to 911 calls. So we have to look at the surge response and how we equitably respond more quickly. So not just having a fast response in the sort of North Oakland, Uptown, Montclair areas, but also having just as fast of a response in East Oakland. Also critical that we are really focused on doubling down on our ceasefire program. It's been proven, it works. We shouldn't have, a third of the positions that are vacant in that office. Also, it's important that we establish a roadmap on how we can get to adequate staffing levels. So it's asking the city administrator to really come up with a plan and a report on how we move forward and really addressing these things, including potentially getting up closer to 800 officers in terms of staffing.
Well, if I would be intellectually dishonest if I didn't acknowledge that Derek Shoes chimed in, who also wants the job of mayor.
Yes. Hey, Derek.
Hey, how you doing, Derek? I'm going to address Derek's area of concern later regarding homelessness, but I want to shift gears and I want to talk about not even shift gears, but I want to stay on this topic because one thing that's really of concern to me, and is something that I talked with Greg Hodge about, and I talk with I call it the Batman syndrome. And what I mean by that, to put something very serious in a quasi-humorous way, but also a deadly serious way at the same time, you think about it from another standpoint. There are a lot of people out there in Oakland who are the victims of what I call personal, direct, quick crimes. They come in and someone's stealing their mail, stealing their packages, or worse, they are assaulting them on the street, hitting them over the head. I call them
breaking the car window.
To me, right? Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
How will having just more police on the street solve a problem that, to me, I would prefer if people could have a concealed carry permit? What do you think?
So I'm not advocating for more. I will say weapons that simply create more opportunity for people to be seriously harmed and to lose their life. That is not the solution. It's not just arming everybody in order to, kind of prevent or deter. I think it's important that we have to focus on a broad range of solutions to address this. When we talk about the bipping, fast crimes that you can get away with, I think we have to be able to, one, address the root causes of what's occurring. So those who are really doing it because of a need or not having opportunities elsewhere. We also have to make sure that when people are making the choice of, hey, do I go and, perpetuate this crime of this predatory act on one of my fellow Oaklanders, or worse, those coming from outside of Oakland to prey on Oaklanders. We have to show that there are consequences to that. We have to increase our violent crime solve rate. Having a violent crime solve rate of less than a third is not sufficient. That's like flipping a coin, unless it's worse odds than flipping a coin as to whether or not you'll get caught. And a lot of people will take that bet. I know we're probably going to talk about Vegas and the A's, but like that, we have to do better in terms of solving crimes and holding folks accountable. It's important that we also look at ways that we can extend our, violence interrupters and those alternatives to community response. We've got the macro program. I think you'll find universal support for non-police alternatives to community response. That has to be part of the equation. It's a travesty that we haven't delivered on that yet, and it's still not up and running. I think hopefully it'll be up and running by February, but that should help to, address things from a more community-centered, community-aware way as well.
Now, also, hey, Derek, I'm not going to make this a Derek Sue show, but anyway, this is the Loren Taylor show. But The other question I have in that, right, is how long will it take if we embark on this versus the immediacy? And that's the reason I point to that solution because, look, I don't like the idea of concealed carry either. But what I'm saying is, we're in an unusual position, and I'm thinking now, hey, if I go back home and I walk down the street, even if I get attacked, I don't want to hit somebody. I want to, I want to be in that area, right? But I get the impression that's happening to some people. I have theories about, who is being attacked and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But that's another story. No one.
Right. So when you talk about immediacy of response, right? So immediacy of response, we do know that relationships with folks are the best way to influence them if they're considering making and doing something that they shouldn't be doing, that's putting other people in harm's way. So we have to engage those trusted people, organizations, and others who can actually have that influence. So when we talk about the community groups, the organizations that are on the ground and really connected, not just the ones who have an advocacy platform, but those who are really connected to those who are, pulling the triggers, doing the, I will say the dirt, if you would, then we have to rely on them. The churches have been a, historical, I will say, conduit to engaging the community. And just to be honest, we don't have as many folks that are attending churches and involved. So we have to look at other ways of connecting, working with those organizations that are on the ground improving it. Our frontline healers are another one.
Jack, we have a frightening number of atheists. Just saying.
I mean, it's real. It's our reality is that we have to figure out how to best touch and engage folks. That's why we've got our Department of Violence Prevention hosting town nights programs across the city. Investing in, different community building organizing groups, supporting the block by block level organizing that was supposed to be part of our community policing task force. Everybody knows that, you have a block mom who is kind of on the street, that ambassador who kind of knows everybody. Even if you don't love her, you respect her because she's consistent there. And, you'll at least sort of, I know at least historically in the past, it has been like, okay, well, at least when she's looking and paying attention, we're not going to do what we would otherwise do, right? A lot of what I hear from folks is that the code that what did exist before isn't there. The codes on how you respond and when what things are off limits. And so it's really the deep engagement that's needed, in addition to the enforcement side, in addition to the violence interruption. When something happens, how do you get in and kind of stem possible retaliation, working with trusted partners like Youth Alive or, other organizations that we've been partnering with. So those are, I guess, some of those thoughts, but honestly, it's going to rely on all of us. It's going to be a breadth of solutions, and we can't just, come up with one idea, throw it out there and think that's going to solve everything. It's got to be a concerted effort.
And on that, I also want to bring in the focus on business because, for example, I got a payroll protection program for Zennie Incorporated. Bank of America is embarked on a program that's fraudulent. I'm part of a group of now almost 30 people. We're talking class action lawsuits. This has been publicized all over the place. Then you've got the bottom line is everywhere you look around the country, there are businesses that are suffering because of the pandemic, but not getting the aid that they need. And so in Oakland as well.
Yep.
What are you doing to help stem that tide? And are you aware of the Bank of America problem as well?
I'm not familiar with the Bank of America problem. Why don't you bring me up to speed on that? But I did want to address what we're doing to support local businesses. And so that is important. I think I discussed my ESO Ventures program earlier, where we work with Peralta colleges to help entrepreneurs from East Oakland and disadvantaged backgrounds actually grow and build their businesses. I was happy to join with the launch of Chase Bank. They have a new community center in downtown or uptown Oakland, where they are creating resources and committed to bringing resources for businesses of color here in Oakland, both the technical assistance, the access to sort of capital and loan products, and other support, even community space. We are working there. There's an ecosystem of organizations. We're working with the Black Cultural Zone, collaborative. They have been sort of focused on addressing the needs and the gaps with Black businesses. There are others like Optima and Optima Boot Camp and other groups that are really on the ground supporting. So when you talk about that, but the other piece that I think is embedded there is that we've got folks that really just need, a grant or a low interest loan. And how are we creating that? Grateful to have worked with Senator Skinner over the past year to secure $8 million out of the state budget for a low to no interest revolving capital loan fund. And what that is that means that our Oakland-based businesses can apply for and receive this loan. I think right now it's planned to be up to $32,000. That once you pay that back, it goes back into the fund and is available for other Oakland-based businesses. Those are some of the solutions that we're exploring, and then a lot of others as well. My background as an entrepreneur and a management consultant is very, very much focused on that as a pathway out of poverty.
When we're done, I'll bring you up to speed on the PPP problem. The short story is basically that they said, hey, look, we'll forgive your loan. But then they turn around, they changed the rules after you got the loan, so that now the situation where you thought the loan was fine, you'd be forgiven on it, isn't anymore. And it's a gigantic scandal. So anyway.
Well, I do want to get up to speed and see how.
It's because it's costing people, threatening to cost people money, and they're doing a lot of really shady stuff, Councilmember. Anyway. Gotcha. Howard Terminal, where are we with Howard Terminal?
Howard Terminal is moving forward. I know the city's negotiation team, city administration, is meeting regularly, consistently with the A's. The fact that the A's are regularly at the table and engaged is a very positive sign. And so feel good about the progress being made there. Also, we are expecting that sometime soon, I can't put a specific date on it, we should have the final EIR published for review. Environmental impact report should be coming out, and we are still sort of on track to have the variety of, I will say, agencies that need to vote on the project, whether it's BCDC, other whether it's the port, you name it, teeing up to the ultimate vote by the city council on that sometime in 2022.
Well, where are we with the infrastructure finance plan? Because nothing can happen without that by law.
Yeah. So my understanding is that the city and the county, our representatives, are working on sort of detailing that and getting that all structured in a way that allows, or at least what that would need to look like to move forward. As you know, the county and the city both did their sort of tentative sort of commitments yet to be finalized, but at least directionally that they would participate in that.
But did they? Because the infrastructure finance plan, as it's done around the state of California, if you have a community component, and this is my issue with how the mayor had it done by her people, is basically you can just use SB 293 Skinner, take that money, that's excess, put it over to the community. It's allowed by law. The overlay is a Melrose district, which you really don't need if you take a look at the rules, right? So my point is, it's more than just the county being involved. It's also making sure that you have sources and uses, and you have a bond issue that can pencil, so you can say, okay, the bond issue is going to be X, and we're going to get Y proceeds. And this is the first time I can remember ever in our history we didn't have that nailed down. So have they given you a date when we're going to have that nailed down? And are you comfortable that the A's are so comfortable with in Major League Baseball that they're going to stop their work in Las Vegas?
So that's a loaded question on three different counts. First of all,
I didn't mean for it to be loaded.
Are the A's ever going to stop their parallel process until we get the final vote? No, I don't expect them to. They're trying to play both sides and use that as the bargaining chip. So I don't think that's a realistic expectation that them as business savvy negotiators would ever stop that process until we have the final vote. I think that's the first thing.
Why they're doing it, right?
What was that?
You understand why they're doing it, right? Because we're behind schedule. I'm saying like all of us, we're behind schedule.
Absolutely. I mean, it's about leverage. It's about having, chips to play against the other. And so I don't disagree from a business standpoint that makes sense. I just think we should manage our expectations. I don't think they're going to close the door on that until we finally ink the deal here.
But what I'm asking, Councilmember, I hate to press this. Please forgive
on
me.
the CFD.
Okay.
You're talking about the infrastructure financing.
Mhm.
So I do not have a date when that will be finalized, but the conversations that I have had, they have confirmed that the three parties, the city, the county, and the A's, are optimistic and feel good about the approach that we're on. And so, or at least tentatively feel good about that. No one's signed anything finally, but it seems directionally that we are there. You mentioned the CFD, and I do think that the CFD is important because the CFD is the backstop.
For those, it's Mello-Roos on another term.
Yep.
It just means the A's have control of the property, and that they have their own board, and they can use the money that they raise to pay for services and all that stuff. Go ahead.
Yep. And that Mello-Roos district is the backstop for the infrastructure financing district. If it doesn't raise enough money, if something's wrong in the projections, it's that CFD that's accountable. So that protects the city's reserves from getting from coming after the city, because it'll be the property owners through that Mello-Roos district.
And that's where, I'm glad you said that, though, and that's where what gets me. If you read SB 293 Skinner, it doesn't even mention the need for Mello-Roos to have the same advantage. That's why I'm saying, did Bob Gamble or somebody talk you guys into this, and no one checked them and said, hey, you know what, dude? Do you know what you're talking about? Read this stuff, because it's right there in the law. You didn't have to do it like that.
I will look into that. I'm not prepared to go into that granularity of the law, but I will look into that.
That dude, man, I will treat him like the Hulk treated Loki. Okay, I'm serious, man. I'm tired of this stuff.
I love the Marvel reference, Avengers. Absolutely.
There you go. Council member, tell them why they should vote for you for mayor and how to contact you, by the way.
Yes, Loren Taylor. You can reach me at my website is lorenforoakland.com. Why should you vote for me for mayor? I am a hometown kid who is
for Oakland, or is it for FOR?
Oh, sorry, FOR Oakland.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm a hometown kid, born and raised, a product of this town, and I am here because of my passion. The future of Oakland is personal to me, and I am ready to step up. I've been a professional problem solver, really, prior to coming into office, as a management consultant, as a biomedical engineer, in office, addressing a number of the issues that we've already talked about earlier today, and moving into the mayoral seat. We've got a lot of problems to solve, and I'm ready to roll up my sleeves and do that along with you, in terms of being a bridge within the community, having grown up here, connected to so many different parts of Oakland, whether it's North Oakland, where my grandparents grew up, East Oakland, where I've had my first job at a glass packing factory, growing up, Joaquin Miller Elementary, Montera Junior High Schools. Just my connections to the town are deep, and I think that is also an advantage in terms of being able to pull together the different parts of who we are to make sure that we really do move in the right direction as Oakland. And so looking forward to rolling up sleeves with you guys at home, with you as well, Zennie, because we've got a lot of challenges, but also a lot of opportunities.
Got to stick together. Council member, got to have you back, man. Fun stuff talking with you and getting up to date and getting on this path of, continuing on of fixing Oakland and making it, I hate saying making Oakland even better, because we've always said that, right? At some point.
Realizing our potential. We've always been on the verge of that amazing potential, and so it's about time. I liken it to my analogy is I liken it to, when I was rooting for the Warriors in the 80s and the 90s. We always had amazing talent come through, but we could never put it together as like a championship team to bring home the title. And we in Oakland have the same things. We got amazing talent, amazing people, amazing resources, but we haven't quite pulled together and delivered on that amazing potential. And so that's what we're ready to do.
You said it real quick. Where are we with the Coliseum now that the African American Sports Entertainment Group has the exclusive negotiating agreement?
Well, it's the ENA is theirs, and so now it's a matter of moving forward. They are leading, working with the A's, trying to figure out how they can jointly come up with a proposal. So I'm excited about the initial proposal, excited about the leadership group that's in place there, and really eager to activate the Coliseum site because it's been vacant, underused, undervalued for way too long, and we need to turn it into an incredible asset and resource for all of Oakland, but specifically those who live nearby in East Oakland.
Hey, I've got an idea. We should have the Warriors play 5 games at the arena just for old time's sake,
I think that we've got. I'll look into that.
Yeah, great idea.
All good.
All right. Hey, you guys stick around in the backstage, sir. Everybody subscribe to Zennie62 and bookmark oaklandnewsnow.com. And thank you all very much. And check out what we've done in the backstage. In the words of Dr. Frankenstein, it works. Stick around, council member. That ends this broadcast.